Hey guys, welcome back to Zmari Talks. I am your host, Zmari, and it is such an honor to be here with you. Guys, I have a phenomenal person here with me today. I know y'all hear me say phenomenal all the time. I'm so sorry, but I love everybody who comes on this pod. But I have an amazing young lady here with me today. I would have referred to her as Miss at one point in my life. She's here in a different capacity today. And I want to welcome to the pod, Stacy Lela.
Thank you so much for having me
It is
today.
it is definitely my pleasure. I know her as Miss concerning a theatre at my previous schools in Francois Girls College, Big Ups in Francois. She's still operating that capacity in some way. And I want you to kind of just give a person's idea of who you are, and we can go from there.
I am a teacher of 16 years.
Okay.
I'm still teaching theatre arts, the best subject ever.
Okay, all right.
I love teaching so much.
Hmm.
The thing is, teaching is changing, evolving into something else. It's a bit challenging, more challenging now than before.
Hmm.
It's not nothing that I can't handle. It's not like back in your day. And it's
Serious.
yes. I love inspiring my students. I think that the most important thing for me is not just teaching theater.
Hmm.
So much more, students coming to you with, things, just talking what they have, what problems, so they what
Hmm.
bother in them. And lunchtime, my room is always busy. And
Interesting.
I have a chair that is always full. And sometimes we get so bad that I have to close my door and tell them, I can't today. Very few and
Wow.
far between, but it does happen sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. More so now, I'm grateful for that opportunity because I get to remind them, of where God is in their life. Just
Hmm.
as opposed to, yes, they come to me with, the social problems and issues, things that they need. But, to be able to say, hey, did you pray? Different
Hmm.
things. And then my Christian students, they will come to me about this this thing is bothering me. I can't understand this in the Bible, why would, God do this? And we would have a whole long conversation about it, sometimes with multiple students.
That's
And,
interesting.
it's really good. I love that about, having that reach,
Hmm.
you know, I love to say to people that if you can't reach children, you can't teach them.
Right.
So it's very important to be able to connect with students. And for me, and it's easy for me, once somebody asked me, Fred, these boys, they're so big. And, some of them, in gangs and things like that. And I'm like, no, they are children.
Yeah.
They are children, and once you can see that and once you read up them, they know. They know when you love them, they know when you look out for them. And I do love them. Yeah. So okay, yes, I agree. But
Oh, when they see this, they will hear you say it, and they rub it in your face.
yeah, and they get both. It's not like, I am some looking for friend kind of thing.
Right.
I will tell you as it is.
Mm-hmm.
They get both and they take their both.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, so it's not like, oh, she don't like me because, she talked to me like this. No, it's never like that. The respect that, when I reach that point to say, hey, you're slacking.
Right.
I really don't like what you did there. You should have come to class lunchtime. Yes, it's lunchtime, but you should have done this. Or I don't like the crowd you like.
Hmm.
They respect that. And it's hard being a teenager at the time.
Yeah, it is. It
I'm
is.
not. I don't want to be.
No, for real.
It
The
is.
things that they're exposed to is so different, and it's probably more than what we were exposed to before. But like, it's just in their face.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear you share this perspective because I did a pod with my niece recently when there was the height of all the bullying and of course you hear teachers fighting with students and these different things. And it's almost like teachers want to quit or teachers don't want to do their job
That's in
anymore.
general contented there, a lot of people think that, teaching is an easy job. I don't know who said that, but, teachers are very often criticized and,
Hmm.
you know, I know a lot of young people who would have left teaching to do other things because it's so much.
Yeah.
Um, so they decide to just do other things, and sometimes people can't leave, and you're like, oh well, they can, they don't care, but it's not the same. Things are changing, and it's hard. I can tell you, for somebody who connects with the student, it is harder than before.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So when teachers, want to quit, I understand that. I empathize with them.
Yeah. And I glad it, as I say, I'm glad I could share it because people need to know that there are still teachers who are actively trying. You, as
Yeah,
you said,
and there are lots. I am not the one and only
of course,
teacher, they think it's so much negative things are, highlighted.
that's
But
what I'm saying.
and sometimes, I always tell my students, you don't have to like a teacher. You need to stop and come out of that I want to like the future kind of thing. Because you're here, you get your education and you leave, you're not going to
Yeah,
be everybody in the life.
I love it. Yeah.
So and when they come, yes, this one stressing me, and like, no, you just take what you get in and you move along because you can't like everybody out here.
It's true.
So, and I remind them I don't do anything to them to like,
It's so true. Like, I was just talking with some of the dancers that I work with, and I was just telling them, it's like, I just hope that you guys could take me out to the picture anytime you hear me give you an instruction. Like, just remember, you're not doing it for me. It's for your own betterment. And remember, God, being a believer, it's like you're called to be, in submission to God. You're working onto God. You're not working onto the person who's telling you do this or do that. So it's just a shifting of the perspective because I think this generation or generation coming, they're very emotional. They're very emotional. So like once something rubs them wrong, it's like that's it.
And that is so true because even with my daughter,
Mhm.
she's 13, and I had to realize that, it took, my counselor to say to me, hey, she's of a different generation.
Ooh,
And it didn't, I couldn't understand. But when she broke it down and made me to understand that this is how she solved a problem, this is how a generation solved a
ooh,
problem,
that's
that
good.
it's so different to how I or my generation solve a problem, that I cannot be upset with her
Yeah.
solving a problem in the way that she is. Yes, I am trying to teach her another way, but this is what she is seeing and this is what she's heavy into.
That's good.
Right? And I'm like, so that helped me with my students also. Like, here what? You see this way that you have to solve. What about this perspective? And sometimes they don't take it immediately. I just hope that, a good seed is planted,
Mhm.
So I sometimes in the middle of my class, I would have to shut down my whole class to have a lecture. I didn't know I would do that.
Wow.
You can't come, insulting each other, calling each other awful names. That's
Good.
sorry, lot to do with, use mental illness and, just brand names and call people this thing and that thing. I would shut down my class. No,
Yeah.
we're not moving forward until you learn that this is not okay to do.
Ooh, yeah.
And I don't, however, I have to get the work done, I get it done after, right? And I tell them, if you have to have all these interruptions, then you'll have to get forward. So let's understand it as quick as possible so we can move on. And that's how I will my class.
No, you are literally confirming how this generation is taught because, like, literally, the first thing that I noticed with this generation is how they speak to each other. And I'm like, where did we learn this? It's very, to me, abusive.
Yes.
It's very abusive. I'm like, this is normal,
This is
normal conversation for them.
Say something that is so inappropriate in front of the teacher,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, we don't do that. That is not okay. And I have to explain now that this is not okay because it's like, what you talking about? Okay,
Correct.
everybody doing that.
Yeah.
And they want to sit down. They're like, no, I'm not there to do that. Because, and I started this new thing that I started to commend the students who, respect, like what I say to them is, listen, thank you to the students who know that their parents are mad people and take
Facts.
God out of the thought and say and do things because you can't.
Yeah.
The others don't realize that it's so easy to be influenced in the negative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's harder to stay and to say, hey, I am not going to speak to Miss like that, even though right now I am so angry with her for giving
Yeah.
a textual work. I am not going to speak to my friend like that, even though they hit me in class. I am that takes more effort. And
Yeah.
I have to remind them of that. It takes more effort and commend them because they out here trying to live right. So
True.
yeah.
True. As you talk about that parenting thing, your parents, you mentioned your daughter is 13, and you said that the dynamic
It's going on 14, I would say.
going on 14, yeah, before she comes out and tells you, I'm gonna be 14 just now. Right. Not that 14 is a big year, but
Yeah, no, it is indeed.
serious.
Yeah, no, they like every year older, it's a big
Oh
deal.
yeah. The rush to get older kind of thing.
I don't know where it came from.
Yeah. But she's 13 going on 14. And you talked about in your time that, there's certain things that you just wouldn't do. So if you could give us a background of like just you like how you grew up, how many
Well,
siblings.
the
Uh-huh.
thing is, I think maybe I could identify with this generation more because of my background.
Okay, let me hear it.
So my background is not, all, peaches and cream. So I grew up in Arima,
Okay, nice.
born and raised in Arima. Um, my parents, I was about 9 or 10 when my parents got saved.
Okay.
Yes. And that was a really nice, how it happened because it was like my older sister's teacher actually who led my parents to Christ and then he started to book the church nearby. It was really nice at the beginning. I don't know when, things started to shift becoming a teenager, peer pressure, old talk, kick your parents back chat and things like that. But that was normal things in my opinion. I think things went downhill when my mom died.
Okay.
So well there's five of us.
What age were you?
I was 17.
Okay.
Right. So I was now going to 18 in a couple of months. Um I am the second of five siblings.
Okay.
And when my
Who's the oldest? A male or female?
female.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
And when my mom died, I was 17. So that means my older sister, she is 19, and everybody else would be mine. It was really hard for my father.
Hmm.
I didn't think about it, until, having a child myself.
Well, yeah.
Everything just went up in like a little balloon and just suck it under, how to explain it. So my dad used to have these kind of episodes where he would, go in church and he would say to them that he have a word from God and they would not accept the word. And it was like, honestly, I don't think it was handled very well. And, they were, driving bodily out to these something. I think that really affect all of us. I didn't realize how much until later. Um, my all of us at that time, just slowly just found our way. I think probably two last siblings, only three last siblings after me still, kept, in church for a while because, they're younger. But me and my sister was like, well, whatever. But I love God. That's not like, you don't think of it as backsliding because your love for God did not change. Your love, my love for the word of God never changed. But so it was just like, I can't deal with this and these people here now. So the easiest way is to, just not go. And my dad he would be upset about it. And I think eventually everybody just, it stopped going. And it started to get decent like that. It got used to the point where he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, paranoid schizophrenia. When you think about it, well, this, for me now, only now, mental illness in the church is
Oh
a
God.
big deal for me because you cannot just come to pray and you are not doing, you're coming for deliverance. But I have taken my father to deliverance so many times, deliverance services. And I think he always wanted somebody to realize what's wrong and tell him instead of admitting that this is something I am struggling with and I don't know how to do.
But do you think, sorry to cut you, but do you think that he had the resources to know that he was dealing with that?
Well, he was diagnosed
Okay,
and he
okay.
would have gone to counseling to help him to understand what he was diagnosed with. And he struggled for a while before he was diagnosed.
Right.
And mental illness in the church can go undetected because, you're a very spiritual person. Um, and I think that's what happened, so and that wouldn't take away from the awesome person that he is. Like my
Yeah.
dad was an awesome person, he everybody loved him.
Mm.
And you know, it was just so much for us that, you kind of like this kind of in and out, you dealing with two person and you like, well, this is how it is.
Right.
So you have to realize that it's not how it is,
Wow.
something that he needed help with. He still didn't accept help.
Right.
He said that, he just needs deliverance. And
Uh,
he would say, it's like a demon and this is what, and honestly, it's all of that.
yeah.
But, you need to deal with your mental health. You need to find ways. If it is that bad, then you need radical ways to change it. It's not going to be like, well, let me go do positive thinking now. Let me go, think good thoughts. The Bible says, think on good thoughts. It's so much more. That's just part of it. For him, it would be taking medication that he didn't
Yeah.
want to take.
Right.
And it was really hard because, uh, he eventually passed away. He committed suicide. Oh,
Yeah.
3 years ago. So
Recently.
yes, and that's the thing. It's so much more loss between him and my mom. It's not just you just lose your parent, but the road to get to that place was hard because now I am there struggling with my faith, struggling with, my identity as a teenager, struggling with so many things, relationships, but yet I don't know how to deal with this because I don't have community around to deal with this. So my mom is not around. And I didn't have anybody ready to come in and say, well, I am your mother now.
Right.
So I
And then your
yeah.
father is barely stable enough to affirm you in certain ways.
So it was really difficult for all of us, and including me, but I could only talk for myself, I remember when I went back out to school after my mom died, somebody was like, you need to get over this. And I was like, okay, that's it. I have nothing to say anymore. And I was crying. I was like, I was numb.
Right.
And I had to see the counselor, probably saw the counselor did twice. Um, and when I went to UWI 1 year later, I never told anybody about my mom to my mom because I said, okay, people don't hear it. And I think I went to my whole university, my mom just died last year. I'm struggling and I didn't
Wow.
say anything to anybody, I don't even know if we had counseling back then. I know they have now. But, I never tried to deal with that because, you know what?
You're trying to
I
get a
can
degree.
drink rum.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And this is
Numb the pain.
yeah.
Okay.
And I would drink um even when I was in Form 6 after my mom died. I think that's really when it got worse. Um I would just have bottles of alcohol under my desk when I'm studying. And the thing is, when you don't get drunk, I call them all over the place. When you're not vomiting down the place, nobody thinks that's a problem. nobody thinks.
You can hold it like a.
Yeah.
You can hold it like
So,
a.
and I could vouch for that because there were times when like after I had my daughter, when my body, my immune system was in a mess, and I got drunk, and it was like, so that was a problem because it's true.
Wow.
How much nobody could say that is a problem. Except my dad, who is supporting the alcohol of the drinking.
You did.
Yeah, he did that, and quarrel, but won't get back more drink. Listen, we drink it, all kind of thing. It was, I can't even say we. It was me, right?
Mm.
Everybody else drinking in moderation, and I could hold my liquor. I
Yeah.
would drink, and I would drink, and I would drink.
Wow.
And I would not know that I was a problem until a couple of years ago when I, really started to, I say, Lord, I really want to, give my life totally to you. I couldn't stop drinking. And it wasn't even because like I'm addicted, like, oh, I just had to go and get a drink. It was like, hey, social setting, what do I do?
Come on.
I need a drink.
Please talk about this. Please talk about it.
Yeah. So it's a social setting, and I'm here with my girls, and
Mhm.
nobody have problems with drinking, right? And I'm not saying anything to that. So there we having fun, and I am there like, okay, well, I will water down my wine. I will make up a little cocktail, and it was getting to me in a way. It was so bad that I was like, okay, why can't I just not drink? Why do I have to water down? But why can't I just drink juice and hush my mouth? And I'm realizing it's a problem because I'm still drinking alcohol and I can't stop.
Mhm.
And it's not like I needed, during the day a longing for alcohol. It's just because we are socializing,
And you have an excuse.
right?
Yeah.
I need to drink something. I need to have something in my hand. I need to have a cup in my hand. I will feel weird if I don't have this.
Oh.
And it was hard. It was hard to just let go of that.
Wow.
And honestly, I have but for Ole's New Year's Day, I had a shot of punch creme as a toast, and I didn't have to have it. I didn't feel to have it. And I did it because it was, my cousin's engagement. And I was like, what? This is something I want to celebrate and with the family. And I did it on purpose. It wasn't because I have to.
Yeah.
She's like, I brought drinks, and she's like, nobody's drinking. What happened to you? And she's, I wouldn't feel to drink. And I was so happy that, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
I didn't drink.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, I didn't even tell my siblings or anything like that. And I know they know I was drinking, and they know I could take a drink.
Right.
But I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
I was really proud. Like that was a big milestone to
Mhm.
be in this social setting with people who I'm so comfortable with, who I love so much. And
Mhm. There's a plethora of options.
and I just I didn't feel that urge to have something in my hand.
Yeah.
I didn't feel, like, okay. And, probably all this to break the anxiety too, I didn't even think about that, then. Oh, I feel anxious, I need a drink. Nobody says that.
Right.
But that's what happened. Like if I drink, I will feel a little more free to have a conversation with people. But I could talk to a wall. So I don't know what is my problem anyway. That's why I wouldn't need to drink. I talk to animals and I talk to plants.
Right.
So I have no problem talking to people. But yet I am then needing the alcohol.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, so I started to drink. That wasn't really downhill. That was just partially roll downhill. The thing is, my relationship, my closeness with God it wasn't so much affected.
Okay.
And I can't say that, well, you can you can live how you want and be close to God. No, God didn't leave me.
Good.
There were times that I felt that he wasn't there.
Good.
And where I would have, had to undergo the consequences of my actions. because I was not in a right place. But despite all of that, he was always there and I was always running to him.
Right.
So, and this is why, I just say, it's, you don't think about it as you backslide. And I even like that word because really and truly, it sounds as if you just leave. It sounds like, I left everything. I don't believe in God anymore. I don't want to pray. I hate, It's not even that. I love God. It's just that I am not in church. I'm not in that community.
So you're being influenced by anything else outside of that.
Yes.
Correct.
When you're not in that community, you're in another community, whether you like it or not.
But then you're also seeing the consequences of being in that community.
Yes. But you're not seeing it because it's just so bad, right?
But the crashes that you would have in moments where it's like, let me run back to God.
Yes.
It's like your little moments where I need to sober up.
Yeah.
But it's not actually like a sober as in stop drinking.
No.
It's just I need God in this moment.
And it's not even like that for me because it wasn't like that for me. I was drinking drinking and liming and coming home and reading my Bible and praying. And I had, and that's the thing. We like to think that people out there are not connecting with God. And that's why God has kept them. That God kept me. I am telling you, when I look back where I have walked through, God, He kept me. Right. And I thank God for my father because it's my father who would have, instilled, God in us like that, insisting that we go to church when we didn't want to go at times, he would have been like, okay, we're doing devotional, we're doing this, we're doing that. Let's pray. And I'm so grateful, for his eulogy, I was saying that, my father he left an inheritance, he left us something. And I would have loved, anybody who was listening to be confused and be like, what? What Curtis leave them? Curtis left us.
Yeah.
He left us a knowledge of God that we could hold on to when he's not here. And I am so grateful for that because I am telling you, I don't know where I would have been.
Right.
I heard a pastor saying, where you would have been this carnival, you would have been a fete. I thinking, nope, I might have been in the madhouse. I've that song into nice.
Yeah.
Where God kept me from is not no fact. Where God kept me from is He have me here right now telling you this because He kept me alive when it is I was supposed to die, and I can guarantee that when you think of people out there, and that I think that's what makes it so easy to be out there because you're still connecting with God, so I could live this life, I could keep running to Him whenever, but it's not the space, it's not the right space to be because you cannot continue in that space for very long, and
it's temporary.
Yeah,
like it's.
I don't know how I stayed there so long.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. It's like being totally blind. And it's really hurts, you're like, okay, well, you say things like, I want nobody in church. I don't want to, nobody to be telling me nothing. Don't come and, I don't want to past that, to come and criticize my life. I don't want no church people not nice. So that what I want there, what do I want from these people? I couldn't figure it out. I could have nothing I could want. And I telling you, I would drink to however much and party and fete and come and read my Bible. And nobody would guess. Not people, who know me from in church, not people who know me from, in the world. Nobody know that relationship. Besides, you have to be in the same house. In my friends, did not know I used to do that. And only my sister, my little sister, she would know because she would be there in the room with me when I there reading my Bible last night before I go to sleep every single night.
Yeah.
So
What did the downward spiral look like? So you talk about, okay, alcohol,
Mhm.
then what? Look,
Then, looking for a relationship, um, looking for,
this is before, after your father passed.
my father passed 3 years ago.
Right, so
This
it's
is,
before.
yeah. So, yeah, so this is as soon as after my mom died, looking for that, and people say like, your father around, but he's not very well. So, it's so easy to seek that kind of outside approval, wanting, somebody to say, hey, and then getting into relationships where, is attack on your whole your whole being is like so you're not confident anymore. And there's a scripture that says sexual sin is a sin unto your body,
Yourself, yeah.
and that being a sin unto yourself, it means you're not doing nobody nothing. It's you're hurting. And I don't think we realize how much it hurts. Because, well, it's me, right? I am not doing anybody anything. But you are. It literally strips away the person you're supposed to be. Because now, especially, so you're outside. You're not under God, right? So anybody come, you're covered under them, because that's how, and you could say what as a Christian woman out in the world, you believe that the man is the head of the house. You could say what, and you out there
I love that.
you living like this,
Yeah.
right? You living with this man from the world, or who knows something about God, but not in it with you, and he is covering you, and you want to now live like if it is everything is okay.
Yeah, you're submitting.
It's not, and yet, listen, Christian women love to submit out there in the world, and they would submit to the most worldly man. Sure. But let me tell you something, when they come to church, they ain't doing that though, and a line, right? But as the thing is like, listen, no, I could be single, like I could not marry, I could do, that's it. I could stay celibate, I could stay away from all of this. You couldn't, but in the world, what you were doing, everybody evil spirit, you just humbling yourself under, right? And it's not people, it's these spirits, because it have nothing to do with people, right? Because when it is there is a gap, you'd be like, well, why everybody always abusing me? Why I always meeting up the narcissists? And we love to now label people, but you are figuring out what's wrong with you. Because I had to tell people, we're not using the N word no more. That's narcissist. Because everybody is a narcissist. But what we don't realize, and I had to come to terms with myself, you attract those people because you are the next extreme. And that is just as unhealthy. You here now thinking that, well, oh, this person is an abuser and they take advantage. No, and listen, they found you, who is the next extreme, who do not have any kind of love for self. You have no love for self, and they got somebody to serve their love. So you there talking about them, talk about you, and I talking about me, right? Talk about me. Where is your self-love? And that is where it goes when they say sexual sin is a sin unto self. Where is your self-worth? Where is it? It going down and down into the gutter, and you there like, well, no, I can handle this.
And you can't.
And you can't. And let me tell you something, I literally feel as if God dragged me through the valley of the shadow of death, because I was like, okay, I could stay here because what else is there? It's like, nope, you're not staying here. Do I walk through? I wasn't walking through. I feel like I pitched tent inside of there and be like, all right,
Wow.
no, this is how life is. Life is a struggle, and life is hard,
And that's because your identity was being stripped away.
Yep.
So you started to accept, well,
Yeah.
this is what
And
it is.
and so the thing is, and this is something that is really important for me now. It's like, there are good people outside of the world. They are really nice people. And you're like, well, Lord, why these nice people, these good people can't treat me good? And they're not realizing that good in the world is have nothing to do with God. This is people who live in out there and they are, I'm not lying to tell you, you watch these people and you're like, but they're not out here running down no woman, they're not running down no man, they're not stealing, they're not swindling people.
It's good deeds.
Yes, it's good word, right?
But not a good heart.
Right? And they're like, well, why, what's wrong with them? Why they can't treat me well? And you're realizing because this is not, there's a good person, but they are not a God person.
Yeah.
So I have this concept that, listen, not every like good in the world is not God, and we need to know that, and we feel like, oh, this is no, this is, I live in a good life. So I am there. I don't know. I was stuck in this perpetual loop, this loop of it's like I don't know what is happening, and I'm like, why I can't just break free of this? It's like, okay, you can't just rise above this your past, and it came to the point where I was like, you know what, um I, want to, give my life to God. But I'm like, oh gosh, to go to church. And
Especially with the church trauma that you have.
yeah, right. And I'm like, nope, I can do this, right? So I was just like, okay, I can give my life back to God. And I started to go to another church, and I was like, okay, it's nice people, but keep them here, keep them at a distance. And like during the pandemic, it was like, okay, everybody going to church online. I could recommit my life to God, and I will be a full-time stay-at-home Christian.
Yeah, online.
And I can do all the right things. And listen, this is not just okay, well, good works. It's I can do what God called me to do here. No problem. And I was doing that for a very long time. And during the pandemic, I moved. I moved, and when I moved, that's my stay-at-home Christian period. And I was like, okay, I can do this. In fact, like, later on too, I was like, okay, I can do this. You know, I can tithe. I can watch any sermon I want online. I can, give to whomever I feel to give. I can do, I can, minister to people. Or, scary thing is, do you know living like that is witchcraft? Because you are not submitting unto the body. And I was like, why is everything feeling like a whirlwind? I am living good, right? Why is everything feeling like a whirlwind? And maybe you have people who, so covered, and we like to feel that, oh, well, I cover myself, God will cover me. But let me say, I know that I am living in my father's blessings, like things that he would have prayed for. And people out here living in the parents' blessings and not realizing that you do nothing good out here to be earning nothing.
Correct.
Right? God is blessing you because of your mother and father or one of your ancestors come down the line. You ain't do nothing. So check yourself, and that just run out at a point.
It does.
Right? So I am there like, I can do this, and but my life is just not settling. Like, just crazy stuff just keep happening, and you're like, well, Lord, well, what is this about? And I had to say, okay, well, Lord, okay, I'm doing it. I'm giving myself more to you. And I started to, I'm not going to church. I'm giving myself more to you. And listen, I'm reading my word. I'm doing, listening to sermons. I'm tithing to my old church. I'm doing, Lord, I'm doing everything. It wasn't enough. And when I moved, again, and God was like, find a church.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, cool, I'll find one. Because at this point, I say, I'll find one. So I say, okay, I'll find one. And I said that for maybe a year straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, okay, I'll find one. I'll find one. And
But it wasn't looking.
no, I went to a service, or last night service, and I say, I'll go back. And I went back a couple of times,
Okay.
and but and I say, well, maybe this is a church, right? So this is a church and whatever. And I'm like, all right. And I started to and then I realized that wasn't the church, and God was still like, find a church, because it wasn't just to find a church to go to like you did the
It wasn't a
last
sentence,
church. Well,
yeah.
yeah, it wasn't that. It was to really go, and something that God put on my heart for a while, it was about building kingdom.
Mm.
And I couldn't understand it. I was like, like, what is this? Like, I wasn't taught that growing up, our thing was, you get to heaven. So when this word was so brand new on my heart, I don't know what it means. Like, okay, no, you are here to build kingdom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that
What is
is.
kingdom? Yeah.
What is that? And then I started to find out more about well, okay, what it is to build kingdom. And I realized I can't do this as one man by myself. I need community. I need to be part of a body to be able to do that. And I say, okay, Lord, I'll find a church, I'll find a church, I'll find a church. And it reached to the point that, I felt, I am living good out there, just as good as everybody else. So I have good friends. I have non-Christian friends. Backslidden friends. I know good people. I can't tell you otherwise, but that is not good enough. At least that is not good enough for what God wants from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never condemn anybody. Everybody have their part to walk. But I knew then, and I didn't, I didn't wake up then. And it was, it was, I'm living good, but it was not good enough.
There's a void.
Yes. And wasn't even a void. It was like continually sucking me down into it felt like everything I'm doing was in vain. Like I'm doing all these things, and yet, Lord, I feel like I was just struggling day by day,
Wow.
and you're just feeling darkness, and you're feeling you're not at ease, um, and I don't know if I would want you to share all of it, maybe not. So I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder.
Mm.
And that's when my dad died. I felt
Ooh.
as if everything was just, when my dad died 2021.
Wow.
And my that scripture that says, when my mother and father forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. I literally had to lean into that, because I felt what it feels like to be an orphan. Even though my father was not well, my father couldn't, do so many things to me that, other people, mentally strong parents would do for them. My father's absent. I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt like if I wasn't covered. And I was like, Lord, I can't feel like that, Lord,
Wow.
you need to step in. You need to step in a big way. And he did. There is no lie about that. When things were just literally shattering, God just stepped in, like if and in a better way, because things that my father couldn't, do, God, the supernatural God, is covering me from. And somebody will watch that and be like, oh well, that's normal to be, in a feeling in a good place. No, it's not. It wasn't normal for me. My world was crumbling, and it crumbled to a point that right after when he died, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm going crazy. And I was diagnosed, and then I said, "No, Lord, I'm not taking this," you know.
Right.
Um, and I took some time off, and I did pray and fast, and that changed my whole life. That was like relationships that was unstable, good, with family and things like that was fixed.
Mm.
My mental health just, it was going as a decline. It just was going upwards, and it has been doing better since. And this is not, I always recommend medication after seeing my dad go struggle, how he struggled. But, I am happy to say I didn't have to take medication to reach to a point that, that I can balance this, and handle this, and not me. I can't. I can't. Because I have tried, I have tried to live my life on my own terms. I have tried to
Right.
carry myself with my own two hands.
Mm.
And I have tried for a very long time to do that. And now I could safely say, what was I doing? And I stand up in church and I'm like, well, what life was I
Yeah.
living? Like, what craziness was
Yeah.
I doing? Like, how out of timing you was, girl? We crazy.
Wow.
Like, like, and I can't even, and be like, okay, well, I don't ever have regrets, but I keep saying to myself, I just waste I feel like I waste my
Ooh,
life
that's wow.
just living out there. And now, like, I'm on double speed. Like, God, you just do your thing, because it's like what you was doing out there, living your life to, yes, Jenny. Yeah. What you were doing out there, living your life as on your own terms,
Yeah,
as you
misaligned.
please,
Wow.
and a good life, a
Yeah.
seemingly good life. To everybody else, it looks so lovely, and even to me, when you look at, that's a good life. Right? It could have been better. It could have been like, oh, I have riches, I have all, but it was a good enough world life, and I was still not good enough for me because I know better.
So
Yeah.
what's different now in the sense of, because people will hear you say that and it's like, yeah, but okay, if you had a good life, what's so good about you now in Christianity or in your faith? So it's like, is there peace? What is different? Is it the joy? Is it that a stable mental health? What is it?
All of the above.
Correct.
So, you know, um, it looks, living out there, it looks nice because, when you do things like you go to, even if you don't post yourself, you go to a party, right? And you enjoy yourself. Others are witnessing that you are happy. And
Woo.
we like to think, oh, well, we posting and we post and we like to drag down people who posting, but in reality, every time you step out in the street, you post then, right?
That's good.
So when I go out, with my friends who are awesome people, it looks good. It looks good. And there was a point that I was going out, liming, drinking, and coming home and crying the whole way home. can't can't figure out. Well, like
Why?
I like these, like these are not my people. These are, I
Just
love this. Yeah,
unfulfilled.
these are not my people. You just feeling, like your heart feeling uneasy. And that happened a few times. People here love so much. I'm telling you, people who I love. I would leave them, or they would leave my place, and I would be crying because I'm like, like Lord, like it doesn't feel like anything, like it feels so empty. And the pictures and everybody else, so it
Look
looking, it
good.
look good. right? We were there taking a toast.
Mm-hmm.
We there looking pretty.
Mm-hmm.
We there looking nice. And I feel as if, you know, um, you know, that superficial way of living, and maybe other people feel good by it. I don't know. I can't do it for myself.
Yeah.
But for me, I need more. Um, but like I need conversations to help me in my walk with God. Um, and let me tell you, and then say and all of that to tell you how much I did not abandon God. I have a friend. We used to go by the bar and
Mm-hmm.
sit down drinking.
And
And
talking
we are
about
talking about the Word of God, talking about the Bible, we're talking about, all, we read the awesome things like, and like, sex, like knowledge of God, I love. And we would do that. And let me tell you something, God mashed that up.
yeah.
Because it's like, you can't be getting out in the world there what I want you to come inside and get.
Right.
And I watch that just mash up like for nothing. God was like, nope, this not working.
Because you think you're
Yeah.
thinking that this is what okay, well
Yeah.
I could get the
Yeah.
balance of
I
the
can
two.
balance it. And I did drinking my rum, out in the people bar,
Yeah, and he's saying
right?
no area of
Yeah.
compromise.
And,
Nothing.
and I am okay with being weird. I have no problem with that. I teach theater, right? I am
True.
okay with being weird. So I could have been in that space. And if anybody overhear us, there is no shame in that. So, people be like, well, you were shame and testimony. I think shame, like the testimony and shame, the go hand in hand with
Wow.
me. It is other things I would struggle with, but I don't struggle with shame for that. My journey, my walk is not for me alone. It could never be for me alone
Yeah.
because then it would not be a circus. So,
Yeah.
right? So, God was literally, he's like, guiding all these stories because there are things that I can tell you about, there are so many stories, so many things that I have been through. And as much as I would like to regret and say, what I was doing my whole life, I know that God, it's serving a purpose to God,
Mm-hmm.
that, I am probably just the most equipped to reach my students.
Right.
Maybe I am the most equipped to reach a certain individual that God wants to reach
Right.
because, my life wasn't like, oh, well, no, I pray, but I pray and I drink my rum and like pray, I pray, you know, I didn't do any other drugs. That doesn't make me better than anybody else. But considering that I couldn't stop drinking alcohol and I wasn't even addicted, so that's bad, So, yeah, but now I don't need to drink alcohol. I don't need to, I don't even need to go anywhere and connect with people that longing for connection because I can go and be like, well, you're going to church, so you have people you're connecting with there. It's not even that. When I go and connect with God in the space of with other people, that is what makes a difference.
Yeah.
And we take for granted two or three are gathered, we
Mm-hmm.
take for granted that, God says, to go to his congregation and, and share testimony, we take for granted those things because we thinking that, maybe it's just the word congregation, but it's not. It's his people.
Yeah.
Like we are a functioning body. And yes, it's not the perfect body, just like this one here,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not the perfect body, but it functions better when God says, hey, this is where you belong. I need you here.